we are now moving into my favorite segment of the show. So you think you're smarter than a rhino. There are going to be 6 questions here. We just ask that you give it your best shot and make an attempt at each one. You are not going to be judged by anybody other than me. I will judge you because that's just that person I am. Yeah, just give it your best shot and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. All right.
Hey, let's do it.
Are we ready?
I am as ready as your questions are.
Okay. All right. So the first question, what are the 4 types of asset classes?
Asset classes. Okay. I'm going to go this way. Stocks, bonds, real estate, and I'm tapping out.
Okay. So that is not correct. Wholly. It's real estate. That is one of them. Commodities, securities, which is similar to stocks. Also bonds, real estate investment trust, money market account things. And then business. So real estate, commodities, securities, and business. Real estate probably is the easiest to understand. You've got a tangible asset that is producing income for you. It could be residential, it could be industrial, retail, commercial. Commodities, probably the least understood, and that's things like cattle, precious metals, and energy. Securities, that's probably the most popular. The stock market is where you sell a majority of your securities, your stocks, your bonds, ETFs, things like that. And then starting a business. You could start one from scratch. You could purchase a franchise, a McDonald's, a Subway. All of these are businesses that are considered assets producing income. So those are the 4. All right. Question number 2.
So do I get half credit on the first one?
Yeah, I'll give you half credit. That's fair. Stocks, security, and real estate is one of the answers. So I'll give you half credit.
Okay.
Number 2. What does the acronym FIRE stand for? FIRE.
Finance, invest, RINO. Oh, Cassian, don't judge me. That could be retirement. So your finance, investments, retirement, and then E. It's always that 4th thing. I'm stuck on E. So I'm going to tap out.
So that is not correct. It stands for financially independent, retire early. Get like really close. You said finance and it's financially, and then you said invest, but it's independent. You said retirement, it's retire, and then the E is early. So FIRE is a massive movement happening within our generation. Financially independent, retire early. There are 2 parts of it. There's the financial independence part, which is what most financial advisors assist people with. It's essentially, how do you get to a place and what does that place look like where you no longer have to trade your time for money? That's when you're considered to be financially independent. And then what does retirement look like? That's the other half of it. People focus so much on that number. I need $10,000 per month coming in order to be considered financially independent, that they forget what they're going to do once they no longer have to trade their time for money. That retirement. Are you just going to golf? Are you going to give back to the church? Are you going to travel? What are you going to do? What does early retirement look like? So you have to start thinking about that. And more often than not, there are components of retirement that also cost money that need to be factored into that financial independence number. So it's a massive movement that's all about decreasing your expenses, increasing your income to get to a place where you no longer have to trade your time for money and you can retire early. Usually you're retiring in your late 30s, early 40s. So if you start when you're 22, you should be out of what Robert Kiyosaki calls the rat race in your late 30s or early 40s by engaging in some of these activities. Okay. Question number 3. What is the maximum contribution that you can make to a 401k or 403b in your case in 2022?
And this is a law that says this is the amount of dollars you can contribute.
The Internal Revenue Code dictates the maximum contribution that someone can make to various retirement vehicles. And I'm asking about 401ks or 403bs and 457s.
Let's go with maybe 10K a year. I don't even know where to guess.
What's your final answer?
I'm gonna go with 10K, but I don't think that's it. I don't think that's the max you can do.
All right. So that is not correct. The answer is $20,500 is the maximum amount that you can contribute to your 401k or 403b or 457. That number is set to go up to $21,500 in 2023.
When people can give more to their retirement, where I guess they just place it outside of their retirement. They place it with stocks and bonds and other securities, other investments.
You can go and you can purchase an individual retirement account, and that has its own limits of $6,000 in 2022, $7,000 in 2023. And then once you run out of different places to kind of store your cash for tax deferral advantages, then you have to go regular brokerage. And then just pay your taxes when you go and you take distributions. All right. Number 4. What is the equation for achieving financial independence?
Fixed income plus passive income plus retirement and plus real estate. It's going to give you financial independence.
Okay, that's your final answer? Fixed income plus passive income plus retirement plus real estate equals financial independence?
Yeah.
So that is not correct. The answer is passive income exceeding your expenses equals financially independent.
Okay.
So, however, you're able to invest in performing assets that produce that passive income is one part of it. And once that passive income exceeds your expenses, that's when you've achieved financial independence. If you have 10 homes, 10 rental properties, each one producing $1,000 in passive income in excess of whatever expenses are attached to the asset, that's $10,000. As long as you don't need more than $10,000 to live, you are considered financially independent because you are no longer trading your time for money. Passive income exceeding your expenses is how you get to be financially independent. Okay. Number 5, what is the difference between term and whole life insurance?
Term life insurance versus life insurance. Life insurance is funds that you get, of course, if I die, whoever is my benefactor, in order to pay off any debts or etc., funeral expenses, etc., and then else for everything else is according to their will, or according to whatever the will is, and according to however they decide to spend it. I think term life insurance is. I think funds can be utilized before demise, and you're able to pull out those funds at certain points to invest. I don't know how true that is, but I think in conversations I've heard something along those lines.
Your answer is the whole life insurance is money given to your beneficiaries at death, and then term is what you can use when you're still alive. You could pull it out and then use it for whatever.
For whatever, yes.
That's your final answer?
That is my final answer.
Unfortunately, that is not correct. If you had switched them, term life insurance is only for a term and only carries a death benefit. So your beneficiaries of your term life insurance policy can use that when you die only, because that's when they are paid for funeral expenses and other things. It's the whole life insurance policy that has that cash value amount that you can use as the owner of the life insurance policy for whatever it is. You could take a loan against it and use it. It also comes with a death benefit. So when you die, there's also money that's paid out to the beneficiaries to pay for funeral costs and some other things. What I want to point out here is that we always Actually, I don't want to use an absolute. We more often than not advise our clients to purchase term life insurance over whole life insurance for a whole host of reasons, chief among them. If we are all doing our jobs right, if the client is doing their job, which is to adhere to the plan that we've created together and hitting all of the benchmarks in terms of income and making sure that they're keeping their expenses where they need to be, they will have enough money through purchasing performing assets to self-insure. If we look at the definition of insurance, the original intent of insurance, it's to mitigate risk. It is not supposed to be used as an investment vehicle. Insurance is to mitigate risk. It's for young people who are starting families and who have obligations to somebody else, to provide for money in the event that they pass away. When they pass away, they can pay their debts off. The folks that are surviving them can pay those debts off. And then if they have a spouse and if they have children, then some money can be left for them, right, in order to take care of them. So if that's what insurance is for, there is going to come a point where you no longer need an insurance company to provide that risk mitigation. You will have increased your net worth and amassed enough assets to self-insure. In the event of your demise, your spouse and your kids will have all those assets to live on, right? You no longer need that policy, which is why we advocate term life insurance over whole life insurance. It's significantly cheaper to purchase term, and we usually recommend a 15-year term because that's about how long it's going to take for you to amass the amount of assets required to self-insure. So yeah, that's the difference between term and whole, why we usually recommend term, and why we also recommend that people do not purchase whole life insurance. It's an overhyped product that's oversold, and not really applicable if you're doing the things that you are supposed to be doing. All right, so question number 6, the final question here. What does RINO stand for? That's RINO. What does our company RINO stand for?
I want to say RNI, I guess retirement investment, or it could be realizing investment net opportunities. Realizing investment net worth opportunities.
Okay. Realizing investments net worth opportunities. Final answer?
That's my answer.
So that is not correct. It is real education, investments in performing assets, no bad debt, and oversight of those assets. So those
are sentences for each word.
Yeah. At the beginning of the interview, we kind of talked about the importance of education. We provide a bunch of different pieces of content, some for public consumption, most for folks who decide to subscribe to the Club RINO Plus membership. Inside of that membership, there are 4 courses with 4 hours of self-paced content covering securities, business, entrepreneurial personal finance, which is like our intro to personal finances, and then real estate investment. And we did it because we understand that there's a massive gap in formal education. We don't expect everybody to become a CFP, a certified financial planner. So we have to provide something for people to receive real applicable education so that they can hit the ground running. That's what we do in Club RINO Plus. Once you have it, you're going to know how to identify and invest in performing assets. Mm-hmm. So your personal home, although it is an asset on your balance sheet, if you put money down, you're going to have equity. And then as the years progress, it's going to appreciate. And then you're going to have even more equity as you pay down the mortgage. So it is an asset sitting on your balance sheet. It is not a performing asset because you are not making money. So we talk about performing assets and how to purchase them. And then you got to get out of bad debt. Student loans are probably the worst types of debt you can have, followed by credit cards. Because student loans, you can't get rid of at all. Bankruptcy, nothing. You got to pay them. They have to be forgiven. That's the only way you can get rid of student loans. So student loans, credit cards, personal loans, anything that is not tied to a performing asset, that is considered bad debt. And we have a video on the difference between bad debt and good debt, because there is such a thing as good debt. And that's debt that is attached to something that is making you money. A mortgage on a rental property is considered good debt. And then oversight. And that ties back into the education part. You can't have oversight if you don't know what you're looking at. If someone hires a financial advisor and then they go in for their quarterly meeting or annual meeting and they're told that their net worth increased by $50,000, that might sound good, but really you should be asking relative to what? Was I supposed to be $200,000 increased in net worth, or were we expecting me to lose money and then we ended up making $50,000? It really depends on the situation. And the only way you're going to know if the information that you're receiving is good is if you have the education in order to engage in that high level of oversight. So real education, investments in performing assets, no bad debt, and then oversight of those assets is what RINO stands for. And we thank you for playing. We really do. It is not easy. It is not easy at all. A lot of people are subject matter experts in what they do. And this is one of those things that we are trying to help people get a little bit smarter on, increase their financial IQ. So thank you for the opportunity to allow me to help our audience, better understand these concepts. At this time, I want to kind of give you an opportunity to share last thoughts and to engage in not so shameless plugs for yourself or what you want anybody listening or watching to know about you and where they can follow you and learn more from you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Cassian. Cassian with Cassian, what an amazing opportunity is to really sit here and have conversations not only about the areas where I lead in terms of the DEI space, but to also really have a more in-depth opportunity to talk about personal financial education. This has been very helpful. Taking notes as we were going through this segment. But also you can find me at gnets_ on Instagram, or gnets movement at Facebook, essentially grooming the nets. It really focuses on mentoring in a virtual space. And mentoring could appear to be many things, or can be a variety of things. And the way that I look at mentoring is, how do I create a one-stop shop experience where marginalized, minoritized people of color who are going into entry-level positions, whatever sector you're in, understanding the different pathways to growing and expanding in your career choice, whether it is the traditional education route, whether it's entrepreneurial, or whether there are other roles where you desires to go in terms of your career and impact. And so that's essentially what Grooming the Next is. And also I do independent consulting work for DEI. And so I'm always available to set up opportunities to really come into your workplace, into your company or organization, and offer some expertise and knowledge around how to really create a sense of belonging, improve your workplace culture, and also talk about some equity strategies, and ensure that all of your diverse employees and your leaders and within your company are able to thrive in a healthy culture.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your time, Mr. Phillips. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until next time.